of the things that I also prayed in December was, God, please restore my life back to what it was supposed to be before I moved out of state. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jer, and today I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a life update because it has been a few months since I last posted on here, and I just had a lot going on in my life, and I wanted to film, but I wasn't sure if I was really in the right space to film. And I was thinking about what I wanted my first video back to be about, and I decided just to be a little bit more vulnerable than I typically am on my channel and kind of share some of the things that I've been experiencing for the past few months. So I mentioned in a few of my past videos that I had moved recently. So I moved out of state for the first time ever in October, and within 2 weeks of me moving, like literally immediately, I was questioning if I had made the right decision. There were just a number of things that were happening after I moved that really made me question if I was doing what I was supposed to do, if I was going in the right direction. But I continued going on, and in November, I prayed about it, and I was like, God, I'm really questioning if I made the right decision. I want to go back. I hate living here, which I also feel like that is a normal emotion to feel when you move to a new place by yourself. So there were just some other things that were going on that made me question if I was in the right place. I asked God for a sign, like, please let me know, like, am I doing the right thing? And I was driving down the road and I saw the sign that said, God allows U-turns. And it really stood out to me. So I kept that in the back of my mind, and I just continued to go on. And December rolled around, and there was a situation, and I was praying about this again, and I was like, God, if XYZ happens, I'm gonna have to go back to my home state. So on December 29th of 2023, I resigned from my job, and that's a very long story short because there was a lot that happened there, and I'm not going to go into detail about that in this video. But on December 29th, I resigned from my job, and on December 30th, I received a phone call, and I got some news that was life-changing, basically. So I got off the phone and I was like, God, I don't understand, but I trust you. Like, it was like one of those phone calls that just, oh my goodness. And I knew then that I was gonna move because I knew that I needed to be closer to my family, and I did not want to go through that by myself in a different state. I was also, during this time, I was having dreams about me moving back to my home state. And I just took all of those things as signs. There were multiple things that were happening that were pushing me in a different direction than where I thought I was supposed to go. In January, like mid-January, my best friend came to visit me, and I was just talking to her and telling her, like, yeah, like, this place is cool, but I don't want to live here. I miss my family. I want to be closer to my family. And she was like, girl, that's fine. Like, if you want to move back, that's fine. I was like, I don't think you understand. I want to move back, like, in a few weeks. She was like, there's nothing wrong with that. She was telling me, like, it's okay to move, it's okay to change your mind. Like, you came here, you found a church that you like, you found a community, you made friends, you went to events. Like, you weren't just in the house all the time. Like, you really did try, and it's not for you, and that's okay. So she left, like, on the Sunday night, and when she left, like, I literally bawled my eyes out crying because I was like, oh my goodness, like, and she was the only person that visited me when I was away. And when she left, it was just like, oh my goodness, like, she's going back to our hometown, our home state, and I'm still stuck here. And I didn't even tell her this, but I literally, like, bawled my eyes out crying, like, when she left. And at that point, I had already been crying every day for weeks because of just other stuff that I had going on. But it was like a release. Like, I was finally able to release all of these emotions, and I just felt like I had clarity. And one of the things that I also prayed in December was, God, please restore my life back to what it was supposed to be before I moved out of state. And so my best friend left on a Sunday. That Monday, I called the landlord and I was like, hey, just wanted to let you know that I'm moving. I'm gonna have to break my lease. Now, I signed a 12-month lease. And when you break a lease, you are typically required to pay a certain amount of money in order to get out of that lease. At that point, I had only been in the lease for 3 months. So there was no way that I should have been able to get out of my lease. And the landlord was telling me, like, also, this was my first time renting ever. This was my first time ever renting. When I moved, I paid my rent from October through January. So I wouldn't have to make a rent payment until February, but I knew February was a bit soon for me to be able to find a new place, move back, all that type of stuff. So I told him that I would be out by the end of February. He initially told me that it was okay to end my lease, but I was going to have to pay for the month of March and the month of April. I told him I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm so sorry. He was like, okay, well, what we can do is I'll go ahead and start looking for another tenant. And if we find a tenant by the end of February, then that's fine. But if not, you're going to have to pay that money. And I told him again, I'm not going to be able to pay that money. And he was like, it's going to show up on your credit report. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to pay that money. So I was also looking for another place, and I was looking in an area that was about 45 minutes from my hometown. And I ended up not getting approved because my income is 100% commission based, and it is really difficult to get approved when you are 100% commission based. The reason for that is because your income fluctuates and they want you to make 3 times the rent every single month. And just for an example, like 1 month you may make $10,000, another month you may make $1,000, another month you may make $5,000, and all of your income is covered, but it's not necessarily the same amount of income every single month. That's just an example. So I did not get approved for the home that I was applying for. I ended up moving back to my hometown in February, and the interesting thing was I wasn't planning to move back to my hometown. I was planning to move to a city that's like 45 minutes to an hour away from my hometown. I go to this place all the time. I wanted to live there for years, but I knew that with my income, I was not going to be able to rent a home in that area anytime soon. Thankfully, while I was still figuring that out, my cousin allowed me to rent her rental home, and I only stayed there for like 3 weeks. Also, a side note, I own a home in my hometown, and I had rented out my home to someone else, and it was a month-to-month lease. And unfortunately, I had to have a conversation with that person and let them know like what was going on. But thankfully, that person was also wanting to move to another city. Also, this is somebody that I'm very close to, so they were very understanding. I was so nervous to have that conversation because they had just moved in, and I was like, I can't do that, I can't do that, I cannot do that. But I honestly feel like I didn't have any other choice. And also, the rent that I was paying in the other city was 3 times my mortgage. So financially, it made sense for me to move back to my own home, even though I was going to be back in my hometown. That person was wanting to move to another city anyway, so it worked out for both of us. And I just remembered that I had prayed that prayer that God would restore everything back to what it was supposed to be before I moved out of state. So as you all know, I work in the real estate industry, and last year at the beginning of 2023, I decided to start in new construction. So what that means is there are companies that build brand new homes, but they need real estate agents to sell those homes. So that's what I do. That's the industry that I work in. And there was this one particular company in my hometown that I had applied for. I had applied for a job with them at the end of 2022, and they actually sent me a job offer, but I had gotten another offer from a faith-based company that I thought was going to be an amazing experience. It was a circus, but I had accepted the offer from the faith-based company, and I had to tell the other company that I was not going to be able to move forward with them. Because I made that decision, I thought that they would not want to work with me at all. But one of my coworkers that I met at the faith-based company, she started working for this other company, and she was telling me, Jared, like they were saying that they wish that they could have hired you. They spoke very highly of you. I was like, what? And she told me this either at the end of December or the very first days of January. So by this time, I knew that I was going to move, but I had not told people yet. So one day in January, I had this feeling, it was a Wednesday, and I just had this very strong feeling to reach out to her, but I didn't reach out to her until that Friday. And that Friday, she told me, well, hey, you know, we're having a job fair at this company, like you should check it out. She sent me the info for it, not realizing that it had just passed that Thursday, the day before. So if I would have reached out to her on that Wednesday when I had the feeling to reach out for her, then I probably would have already known. But I digress. I ended up going to the job fair they had in February. I moved back to my hometown in February, and I went to the job fair they had. They remembered me. They called me. So it was like a job fair. When I say job fair, I mean they were doing a presentation about the company. There were like 6 or 7 people there, and they were answering questions that people may have about the company. So I attended that event. They called me the very next day, and you know, we were having a conversation. They did ask me, you know, why I decided not to accept the offer previously, and I explained to them my reason why. And a couple of weeks later, I got my offer letter, and it was just amazing to me that I didn't even have an official interview with them in person. And this was a company that I had spoken with in 2022, and they still remembered me. They still wanted to hire me. They were still able to give me a chance. In what world are you able to decline a job offer and then they give you another chance? And I'm doing something that I love. I just felt like God was pouring blessings on me. And once again, I went back to that prayer that I had prayed where I was like, God, please restore my life to what it was supposed to be before I moved out of state. And the way that things were lining up, I knew that I had made the right decision by moving back. And when I moved back, I felt so much peace. I had not felt this amount of peace since before I moved. And I was like, I know that I made the right decision. Like, it was such an amazing feeling, even with the other like sad and scary and negative things that were going on in my life. God was still showing me like, I got you. Like, I'm gonna take care of you. I'm providing for you. I'm covering you. Like, even though you went this direction, I really wanted you to go over here, but I'm glad that you came to me and you trusted me, and now I'm gonna move you in the direction that I wanted you to be in. I also had a dream. When I was still in the other state, I had a dream that I had been hired by this company, and I saw one of the employees in the dream. And so this company is stationed in the city that I was talking about previously, that's like an hour away from my house. That's where that's where their office is. But they have a branch that's in my hometown. And I was hoping to be in the city where the office is because I just love that city. I travel to that city like 3 times a week or 4 times a week sometimes. Like, I'm always there. I love that city. And I thought that I was going to be able to move there. When I was still in the other state, I thought I was going to be able to move there. That's where I had applied for the home. But then, like, a few days before I was supposed to be moving, I found out that I was not going to be able to move to that home. So I was going to have to go to my hometown. When I had that dream, when I was still in the other state, I was like, why did I see? So I saw an employee that worked at, when I had that dream that I had gotten the job at that company, I saw one of their employees in that dream. And that employee works at the office, and that employee works at the location in my hometown. And I was like, that's interesting. Does that mean that I'm going to be working there? I have not seen this person in probably about 3 years. I've only had one conversation with this person. So the fact that I saw her in my dream, I knew that I was going to get the job there, and I knew that I was most likely going to be going back to my hometown. I started having dreams about me like being in my hometown. So that's where I ended up going. I found out that I did get the job. I'm incredibly thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my friends, because you really need your community. And when I was still in the other state, like back in January, I told one of my friends what was going on, and she was like, this is the time to lean in to your community. Like, lean on your community. Even though you may not be in the same physical location, we're here for you. This is why we're here. And, you know, we want to be there to support you. And so I definitely appreciate that. I wanted to make this video to share how God has single-handedly restored everything in my life. Me being able to get my home back, me being able to come here and have a new job that I had applied for beforehand, where I still get to have 100% commission. I'm still considered an independent contractor. I still get to kind of do my own thing. Like, it has been a major blessing, and I am incredibly grateful. Even though there's still, you know, unanswered questions, there's still a process that I have to go through. There's still like this other situation that I'm trusting and believing God for. And one day I'll be able to come back on here and share how God performed a miracle, how God has, you know, just covered and blessed and restored. I'll be able to share that story one day. And usually I don't talk about things until it's already done, until it's already fixed. But I wanted to make this video while I'm still going through it, just to encourage other people that it's okay to pivot. And if you're in an in-between stage, that is okay. I feel like there is beauty in vulnerability. There is strength in vulnerability. And I wanted to share my experience and my journey, because I was looking at videos on YouTube and I was like, okay, has anybody else experienced this? Has anybody else moved after only being in a state for a few months? It was really encouraging to see that there were other people that moved to another state. They found out that it wasn't for them. They were able to move back. Like, it was really encouraging to see, like, okay, it's okay. There are other people that have gone through the same thing. There are other people that feel the same way. And so I want to make this video to let people know that it's okay to change. It is okay to pivot. It's okay to change your mind. And you don't have to have it all figured out, because that's the beauty of life. There's no way for you to know 100% of the time which decisions are the right ones for you to make. The beautiful thing is that we are divinely covered. God is always protecting us, providing for us, leading us the right way. Like, when you have decided to trust Him with your life, He is going to steer you in the direction that is going to be the best course for your life. It won't always be easy. It won't always be pretty. It can get really ugly sometimes, really challenging sometimes. You will have some really hard days, but at the end of the day, you are divinely covered. You are protected, and everything's going to turn out just fine. Not only is God always with you, but He also goes before you. He works things out that you can't even see. He goes to rooms that you haven't even stepped in yet. He's giving people your name. That has happened to me on numerous occasions, where somebody told me, you know, God told me to work with you, or I had a dream and God was telling me that I needed to reach out to you. Like, God is always moving in ways that we can't see. We only have a certain vantage point, but God sees all. He knows all. He's moving things and working things out in your favor. And I really hope that my story is an example of that, because there is no way that I could have guessed that I would be working at this particular company that I applied for and received an offer from in 2022. I accepted their offer and then decided to go with another company, and these people still decided to give me another chance. They still spoke highly of me. And it's a huge blessing. Like, it's a huge blessing to be able to be back in my home. Like, the joy that I felt being back in my home is like unmatched. Like, I can't explain it. And it's like, even though I have so many other things going on, it was like God was giving me these blessings to let me know I see you, I'm protecting you, I'm providing for you. And I just feel really blessed. And I just wanted to get on here and share this story, just so if anyone else is going through something similar, that you can be encouraged. I love y'all. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and I'll see y'all next time.